there we are with a mic. All right, everyone, please, let's give the loudest applause of the night for Unholy Communion, our exciting filmmaker here. Yes, okay. All right, so go ahead and just introduce yourself again.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm Patrick Coyle. I'm the writer-director of this. Thank you. Thank you all for being here.
And Patrick, tell us where you're from. And
I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I've lived in Twin Cities for a long time, more than over half my life. But
okay, fantastic.
To have the film debut in my hometown is incredibly meaningful, and I'm not nervous anymore, but I was for the last 5 minutes. So a lot of family and friends here.
We love that. Could you tell us, what was the inspiration for this film, and why did you make it, and want to tell this story?
Yeah, so this gentleman wrote a novel, and he saw my film Into Temptation. He thought I would be possibly a good person to adapt it, and that's the conversation started that way. The author worked with police departments for 20 years as a forensic odontologist who identifies corpses via their dental worth. Forensics was a big topic for him. But I also found out he was a victim of clergy abuse as a boy, and he kept it hidden for about 5 decades, and it sort of exploded out in this novel. And so he brought me on board as a screenwriter first, and then wanted me to direct it, and yeah, the whole process went pretty fast once we started. So
amazing. Let's talk about locations. I'm always interested as a producer to hear about how you acquired those locations. There were a lot of locations in this film. Can you tell us about
yeah,
them?
I didn't know where I was going to be able to, kill a priest in a Catholic church. That was the biggie. And after I was rejected at about 10 places, and I was getting a little discouraged, and I drove by the Plymouth Congregational Church in Minneapolis and pled my case to the woman at the front desk, and she said, "You're going to have to take this up with Reverend Seth," and she handed me a business card, and it was Seth Patterson, who was a friend of mine that I did a play with about 15 years ago, and it felt kind of like a God thing. And Seth gave me his church. We had to make it look like a Catholic church. It didn't. It was kind of a miracle of art direction, but.
Wow, amazing. So the old saying goes, do not work with animals or children. You did both. Can you tell us a little bit about how that went?
Those kids were great, weren't they?
They were amazing,
and,
yes.
And we all fell in love with the dog, Rue the dog.
Rue.
Yeah, Rue played Brody. And yeah, they have these, there's this whole kind of dog culture that they train dogs for films. And they give them grades, and if you have an A dog, they just do exactly what you want, exactly when you want them to do it. And I fell in love with Rue. Rue had a C grade. But he absolutely came through when we needed him. He was great. So
That's
yes,
amazing.
I work with kids and dogs.
And so working with the dog, that didn't cause extra takes, or it was pretty smooth?
He hated being in that truck. He didn't like, everything else was great. He did not like to be in that truck. And Adam Bartley, my lead guy, I just can't say enough about the work he did.
That brings me to my next question about casting and what that process was like for you, and how you found your actors and what it was like to work with them.
Both those guys are originally from the Twin Cities, and I just kind of got lucky. I got Adam's phone number through a mutual friend, and he said, I've been looking to do a feature film, and I have a break in the action during that time. You guys want to shoot? And I sent him the script, and he got back to me and said, I'm absolutely in. I love this role. And Vincent Kartheiser, the same thing. I knew him from mutual friends in the Twin Cities, and I contacted his agent, and they got in touch with Vincent, and he called me up directly, and we were on the phone for 90 minutes. And,
I love that.
Vincent really wanted to do something. He was in Mad Men for a whole bunch of years, and really wanted to do something different. So.
And you filmed everything in the Twin Cities?
I did. I actually filmed in my neighborhood.
Wow.
In the Twin Cities. I live in the West 7th neighborhood, and about 80% of the locations were maybe a mile from where I live, because when you're shooting 12 or 14 hours and you're my age, you just want to go home and go to bed afterwards. I didn't want to be far away.
So like Father Doyle's house, was that someone you knew, that house where?
Our director of photography, who's here, Greg Stever, found that fabulous location. I just sort of recognize a handful of people. My director of photography, Greg, could you stand up?
Yes, anyone involved in
Beautiful work.
production, yes.
My producer, Jasmine, where's Jasmine? Jasmine, right here. And Vanessa, associate producer. And you cannot make a feature film with the money we had and the ambition we had without an unbelievable editor, and he's here tonight, Scott Farrell, my editor. So.
Amazing.
There you are. Thank you, Scott.
All right.
Anybody else here from the crew? I think that's it.
That brings me to my next question.
All right.
How close, like from script to the final edit, was the final edit to the script?
That's a good question. I can say this here in my hometown. I read the novel and I wasn't really sure about it. It's a good book. I didn't know what kind of film potential it had. So I told Thomas, and we clicked right away. I said, if I can have sort of carte blanche to adapt this the way I think it needs to be adapted. He said, go for it. I don't even want to read it until you have a draft. And I gave him a draft, and he had 2 notes. And I said, I think we're going to get along. So the screenplay is very different from the novel. Very different. But I would say I worked really hard on the script and got a lot of input from Jasmine and from Greg, and mostly from the talent in my family is my wife and my daughters. And, I just want to say really quickly, my daughter Clara is here. She lives in New York, but she made 3 short films her senior thesis year in college, and she submitted them all to the Ely Film Festival on the Canadian-Minnesota border, and they all got accepted, and she's going there tomorrow.
All right, congratulations. That's amazing.
So, yeah, she's the real talent of the family. As is my wife, who is a publisher and a playwright.
Right. So much talent here in the room tonight.
So anyway, to answer your question, we finally got the script hammered out and boiled down, and it didn't change much.
Okay, great. And then how long were you actually in production? How many days did you film?
20. Thank you, Jasmine.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about a couple months of pre-production, a month of shooting, and about 5 months of post. And counting the months I spent writing the script, so it's a long time.
And what time of year did you film? I always find
We
that-
shot in the dead of Minnesota winter.
Wow.
And I don't know, last year was like the winter that wasn't. We got incredibly lucky. We had 1 snow day that we had to deal with, but everything else was just.
Made the scene better, the fight scene made better.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the fight scene was supposed to happen outside. 6 inches of snow fell that day. That would have killed me continuity-wise for everything else in the movie. So I said, let's have these guys fight in the police station, because that's how crazy this guy is.
Well, it's a wonderful film, and I know
Oh,
everyone
thank you.
here
Thank you.
tonight really enjoyed it. So we have some time for some questions from the audience, as long as we don't ask about what cameras they used and what their budget was and those things. We have some thoughtful questions from the audience. Anybody with their hand up? Okay, I'm gonna try to float up the stairs here to try to get you a microphone so that we can hear your question. So just keep your hand up so I can find you. Perfect, and we will pass it down.
Top row.
Pat, what was your process in the selection of the music? I thought the music really supported the screen.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Russell Holsapple, he's out of Los Angeles, and Russell and I have worked together on 5 projects now. He composed original music for a play that I wrote and for 3 of my feature films. And I love him. He's the quiet man. I say about 3 words and he just goes, shut up, I got it. And then he delivers me something, and it's almost always exactly we have a very, very similar sensibility, and I just love working with him. So I told him what sort of my sonic vision was for the film, and he delivered that score. And we went back and forth, and we worked really, really well together. It took a while, but thank you for mentioning that, because I love the score of this film.
Awesome. Okay, anybody else? Oh, I've got a hand up way over there. Okay, hang on, here I come. So that everyone can hear you.
Okay, I got the question already, Kate. How is the
fantastic.
film going to be distributed?
Okay.
I'm really, really happy to report that we've sold the film.
All right. Amazing.
We found a producer's rep / sales agent in Los Angeles, and he sent it out to a bunch of distributors, and we actually got a bunch of offers. We got 4 offers, and we picked the best one. So it's coming out digitally all over the U.S. and Canada, probably in July, and we're going to coordinate that with hopefully 5 or 6 city theatrical. So for a little small budget indie, it's a huge coup. And,
Congratulations. All right, anyone else?
just shout it.
Did you get any feedback from the Catholic Church regarding?
My family. It's this is the first screening, so looking forward to hearing feedback, the real feedback after we leave. But I was really, really conflicted. A lot of people have suffered trauma and abuse, and they don't go kill their abuser. And so the film was worked pretty hard to balance that, to not say that's okay. This is one person's trauma and kind of a pretty extreme example of what happened. But
I thought it was done really well that way.
yeah, thank you.
All right, anyone else? Okay, right over here. Yes?
The film touches on multiple forms of interpersonal violence, with domestic violence, child sexual abuse, religious abuse. How did you and the team make sure to take care of each other? What was the process to do that in a mindful, trauma-informed way?
That's such a great question.
Okay, could you repeat it?
Yeah, it's I'll try to repeat it. There was a lot of different forms of abuse and violence in the film, and I think it's a question generally about safety and how we protected people's safety on the set and in the film. Is that close to what you have?
Yeah.
I hate to even bring this up, but first of all, I hate guns. I don't like guns. I didn't want guns in a movie I ever made, but I was hired to adapt this film, and I kind of had to. But in the aftermath of that horrible tragedy of where Alec Baldwin shot his cinematographer, I was really proud of our crew, because we had an armorer on the set, and before every time the gun was anywhere near the set, it was a non-firing gun to begin with, and the crew lined up to look at the gun to make sure there was absolutely nothing in it. I just welcomed everybody to come, and everybody did. Every time the gun came out, people lined up to check it to make sure it was not a real gun, that there was no actual real ammunition. And then they have, I think probably the most delicate stuff was the relationship with Alexa and Paul. And we had the luxury of some rehearsal. I really got to work with both those actors for a long time. And so mainly what I really try to do is the communication is the most important thing to make sure that everybody is completely understands what the objectives of every scene are, and they're always comfortable. It's really, really important. I think it's really important for actors to feel comfortable. I don't think you get the kind of acting that I got from this film unless they do. So it really shows up in the film if you take care of everybody's safety. I really, really and again, I had a great producer that kind of saw to all of that, made sure that everybody was protected.
That's wonderful. So you said the distribution, but are there any other film festival screenings coming up?
Oh yeah, There are. We got selected for the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Film Festival. That's coming up in a month. And we're playing the Big Water Film Festival, which is on Lake Superior. That's a really lovely film festival. And we're out to several more that we haven't heard from yet. So this is brand new.
Well, we are so thrilled
Thank you.
that you're here and so many of you are visiting and that you're back home and we
Yeah.
love the film and just thank you so much, Patrick, and thank you to you
Thank
and
you,
all of
Gayle.
your team.